I can say because I worked in data warehouse, data analytics, and currently data science. So in Walters Kluwer, I am working for past 2 years as product software engineer. Okay, and yeah, so this session is mainly on the Apache Arrow. So what is Apache Arrow and how it works? Before going to see all those things, uh, I want to show you something quickly. Okay, because in a traditional way, people show the presentation and they explain all those concepts, and finally they show some codes. They explain how it works. So now I'm going to show how how fast it is, or quickly showing a sample, and we will and then we will see how it works, all those conceptual things. Okay, is my code is visible, clear? Let me change this theme now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a Python expert. So all the examples and the codes are written in Python. So, but Arrow supports lots and lots of programming language. I will tell you that. I'm putting all the libraries. Okay. Hmm. Trust me, I will walk through all the codes line by line in future. Um, so this is a traditional method where I read the CSV file using Pandas library. So who are all familiar with Python, they know what is Pandas. Okay, Pandas is a library is mainly used for data analytics. Okay, I'm reading the same CSV file using Pandas, and I'm reading the same file using Arrow. So it takes 356 milliseconds and Python takes 2 seconds. So it is faster. So now you got an idea that, okay, Apache Arrow is faster. Now we will see how it works and how the things on the conceptual wise. Okay, so Apache Arrow. It is a development platform for the in-memory data. Like the main base object is Arrow table. So you can convert that base object, that is Arrow table, to other language objects. Like if you are familiar with Python, you can convert Arrow table to Pandas data frame, and yeah, like you can convert the base object type Arrow table to any other program language objects, and it supports zero copy. So what is zero copy? If you are transfer the data from one place to another place over the network, then there are lots and lots of data copies, and there is lots of context switch. I'll explain later, but it supports zero copy as well as columnar memory format. So these two are the main mechanism in Apache Arrow that improves performance a lot than the traditional method. Okay, so yeah, these two are the big deals in Apache Arrow. One is zero copy, another one is columnar data store. Okay, and obviously Apache Arrow supports many programming language like C, C++, C Sharp, Java, Python, everything. Okay, so it's what Arrow memory. That's what the base object here is Arrow table. You can convert that Arrow table to other formats. by using other programming language, Pandas, Spark, Drill, all those formats it supports. Okay, and what is columnar data source? Traditional method is reading a two-dimensional array or a table format is reading a row by row. It's what the traditional method, but Apache Arrow reads column level. Okay, if you see here, there are 3 columns and 4 rows in this table. Where in the traditional memory buffer, you read row by row and it stores values on the row level. But Apache Arrow reads on the column level and it stores the same column in a buffer. So what is the advantage of it? Okay, let's say if you read a information in the column level, you quickly understand what is the data type of that column. Let's say if I read this column session ID on the column level, I can easily assign, okay, this is integer and this is timestamp and this is probably string object. Okay, but if you read by row, then after you read all the records, then only you can assign the data type. You can convert or you can recognize the data types of each columns. But if you read column by column, you can easily identify the data types once you read the first column itself. Okay, and again another thing is, so all the programming language reads row by row and it reads a chunk by chunk. Let's say if you have millions of data, so it reads first chunk, let's say 1 million records from the table, and then it reads the next chunk. So while reading the chunk by chunk, it doesn't know the next future data or the upcoming data, how it looks like. That's where it faces conflicts on defining the data types. But if you read a column by column, it can easily identify the data types. Okay, and what is zero copy? Like I said, so if you are transferring a data from one place to another place over the network, then it takes more number of data copies and more context to it. Okay, I'll explain what it is. Okay, this is a typical traditional copy method in Linux based system. Let's say this box, it is your source, and then you read the data from source and then it stores the data in the kernel buffer. Okay, from kernel to application context it is, or you can say user context. So it switches from kernel to user, and then again it stores the data from this buffer to the application buffer. Again it switches from user to your destination kernel, because you're sending this data from here to here. It travels like this. So from application context to your kernel context, again there is a switch and there is again a data copy. So there are 3 data copies, 1, 2 and 3. So both are same, and then you load it to a final destination. Okay, these are the switches and these are the data copies. Okay, read, write, all those things. This is the traditional method to transfer data from one place to another place over the network. Okay, so as I said, the first it reads data from your physical memory to kernel buffer, kernel address space. Then it switch to kernel to user mode, and it transfer the data from kernel to user address memory space. There is a switch from kernel to user. Again from user to kernel, because it is the destination, so it switch the context from user to kernel mode, and then it transfer the data from the kernel mode to user to kernel mode. Okay, then it sends to your destination. That's what the traditional method for sending your data from one place to another place. But what is zero copy? Zero copy is you read a data from place, your source, and then store it in a kernel buffer and directly push it to destination kernel. Okay, there is no switch to user mode. Okay, directly it push to destination kernel and then it goes to destination. Okay, this is zero copy, but again there is an advancement. um, you don't need this kernel buffer because anyhow if you know the exact destination you can directly push the data from your source kernel to your target. Okay, that's what this descriptor, it has information about your destination. Okay, it's a, you read a content from your source and then this descriptor has information about the destination. So there is no need of any intermediate things. You can directly push the data from source to destination. Okay, there is only one data available. I mean, there is only one place data is available. That's what here read buffer. There is no intermediate data copy. That's why it is called a zero copy. Earlier it has there is three data copy. One is here, here, and then here. Now it is only one place where the data stays, and then there is no context switch. There is no switch from kernel to user or application, again application to kernel. It directly push your data from source to destination. Okay, any other any doubt so far? Okay, let's see. So like that, these two main mechanism in Apache Arrow improves the performance a lot. It reads data column by column and then it supports zero copy. So the performance is quite good. Now you don't need to spend more time on gathering the data or pulling the data from source because it retrieve faster and you can spend more time on the analysis side. Okay, so that's what the basics of Apache Arrow, how it works. Let's say a few other projects in Apache Arrow. There is one module called Turbo ODBC. That's what Python library to connect your RDBMS, relational database. So earlier you will have ODBC or JDBC to connect your databases. You can use same ODBC connection in Turbo ODBC library, but Turbo ODBC reads data in a column wise, column by column. So it reads faster and it performs faster. We will see that. And other projects like Petastorm. So it's another project of Apache Arrow. So it supports machine learning, deep learning data set of Apache Parquet format. Parquet is nothing but a storage file format of Apache. So you can store the data in a binary format. So it increases the performance. It supports popular deep learning, machine learning libraries like TensorFlow, PyTorch, PySpark. Okay, as I said, Apache Parquet is nothing but a storage format. It's a binary storage file. You can find more projects on this link. Okay, let's see a demo. Any doubts so far? I go to demo. Okay, Let's see a demo.
We lost your screen share.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Nagaraj, can you zoom a bit so that we can
Yeah,
see
sure.
the.
Yeah. Um, is that clear now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. So in this demo, I'm going to use 34 MB of a CSV file. So let's see how fast the Apache Arrow from the traditional method. Okay. So yeah, again, this code is written in Python. So Apache Arrow supports lots of programming language. You can try Java, C, C++, anything you want. So in Python, there is a library called Pandas. It's mainly used in data analytics and data science, where you can read data and do all the aggregation function, plotting, all the statistics analysis, all those things you can do. Um, so I'm importing PyArrow. That's what Python library for Apache Arrow, and datetime for calculating the performance. Okay. I'm using the Pandas version as 1.0.3. PyArrow version is 14.1. Let me execute this. So there is a small function to find the execution time. So before execution, after execution, and execution time is after minus before. Mount this one. So I'm using this CSV. So before reading a file, I'm storing the time in before time. This is a reading of CSV file from pandas method. PD is pandas alias, and after execution time and the measurement. So it takes 697 millisecond. See the type of this variable where I stored all the content of the CSV. It is pandas data frame. Now I read the same file using Apache Arrow before, after. So it takes 300 milliseconds. So typically half of the time. Okay. So it's just a 34 MB of file. I think about large volume of data. Okay. So I read this file and then store it to IPL Arrow. The type of that variable is a table. That's what the base object of Apache Arrow is Apache Arrow table. So you can convert that Arrow table to other formats like pandas, NumPy. So these are the Python objects for doing the data analytics, all those stuff. So if you are using Java or C++, you can convert that Arrow table to your programming language objects. Okay. So I'm calculating the file size. It's 33.5 MB. Let's see the memory usage of pandas data frame, the traditional method. Okay. It takes a while because I'm using the deep memory usage method. So it reads all the information and it calculates how memory it is used. So 235 MB, though the file size is 33, but the object stored in memory is 235 MB, and these are the column names, and these are the data types, integer, object, all those things. Just information about the your data. Okay, so we don't have similar function in Arrow. So we have a schema method in Arrow which will give you the data types of each column. Okay, so it will give you the column names as well as the data types. So if you use Python, you know string is an object. Okay, in pandas it denotes string value as object. Here it's string. Okay, so here we have date as timestamp object. Okay, I am not specifying anything explicitly in Arrow. I'm just reading the CSV file. Same way I'm reading the same CSV file in pandas method. I'm not doing anything explicitly, but pandas doesn't recognize that field date as timestamp object, but Arrow recognize that field as timestamp because it reads column by column. So once it reads all the values in a particular column, so it recognize, okay, all the values are similar to datetime, so it might be a datetime object. So I'm converting this to timestamp. So that's how Arrow works. Okay, and calculating shape of Arrow as well as pandas. So both rows and columns are same. I'm converting the Arrow object to a pandas data frame object. So that's what I said. Arrow table is your base object of Apache Arrow. You can convert that base object to any other object. So I'm converting to pandas. After converting my Arrow table to pandas, I'm checking that converted pandas information. Okay. So it takes 243 MB. There is information is difference between this converted data frame to actual data frame. Let's say here we have player dismissed is there is only 8,834 records are non-null, which means 8,834 records as values, other values as null. Okay, let me show you that data quickly. Data basics. Okay, while it downloads, see the code. Okay, by default, if you read a CSV file in Apache Arrow, so it consider that all the values are string. So if there is an empty value, it consider that as empty string. So yeah, if you use programming much, you know that empty string is not a null value. So null is different, empty string is different. So it converts null to a empty string. Okay, that's why you see all the values are non-null because it denotes all the values as some value. Okay, even though it has some null values. Okay, these are the reference for that. So Arrow table, I'm just counting the null count. I'm doing the null count for the umpire 3 column. So it says there is no null. Okay, and if I check the first 5 records of that, there is an empty string. Okay, if I check the same thing and the pandas data frame, it says NaN, not a number, which means null. Okay, so while reading the CSV file, if there is any null, So you have to convert that to null, not an empty string. Okay. So there is an option in pandas read function. Okay. This is read CSV function. This is your first parameter input file location. And there are some other options, read option, parse option, where you can parse the data object or string object while reading the CSV file itself. And this is the convert option, where you can specify strings can be null. If you specify this as true, then it recognizes null as null. If there is no string, it denotes as null. Let's set that parameter as true. So I'm setting that string can be null parameter as true. So again, so I'm storing that value to arrow2, another variable. Now I'm taking the count of umpire 3 column, a null count basically. So there are these many nulls there. Earlier it says 0 because it reads null value as empty string. So that's the difference. You can set that. And after reading that string can be null, if you convert that to pandas data frame object, then it exactly match with null and non-null values. So these are exactly matching. Okay. Any doubt so far? Okay. So IPLDF, it's traditional pandas data frame read method. So I read it. So this variable is what, and this is I read it as arrow table, and then I convert to pandas data frame. So if you check the memory usage, there is a difference. Okay, even though all the data types and the null values are exactly matching, let's say here daytime there is only one column daytime, 18 columns as integer, 64, 20 columns as object. So even though data types are matching and the null and non-null values are matching, there is a difference in the memory usage. Okay. Let me show you what it is. So in pandas, so it denotes null value as NaN. In SQL Server, it denotes null value as null, NULL. Here it denotes null value as NaN in pandas method, so not a number. So if you read a CSV file in arrow and you set the parameter as okay, there might be a string as null, so you read that string as null. So once you read it, there is no type as NaN in arrow, so it sets null value as none. Okay, so that's the difference, the small memory usage difference between arrow to pandas conversion and direct pandas data frame. Okay, so yeah, in arrow table, it stores the null value as none. In pandas, it stores null value as NaN. Okay, so any doubt so far? Okay, so yes, as I said, you can convert arrow based table from object to any other object. So I'm converting arrow table to dictionary. It's not a normal dictionary, it's ordered dictionary, because you read a CSV file, adders should be same, It should not be collapsed. Okay, these are the methods in dictionary. Okay, to retrieve the keys, basically the columns. So after you convert the arrow base table to a ordered dictionary, then your keys are the columns and the values are your actual values. Okay. Again, it I'm converting first arrow table which reads null as empty string to a dictionary. So that's why you see empty string. It is not a null. Okay. Then I'm writing that table to a Parquet file. Okay. It's a binary format. So it occupies less memory. Give me a minute. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I'm writing the content to a Parquet file. So it's a binary format. This is that method. Okay. See the size of that file in KB. So I read 34 MB CSV file, and I am storing to a Parquet file format. And since it is binary format, it occupies less memory. So it's 797 KB. Okay. So I'm reading the same Parquet file in arrow method. So it takes less time than the actual CSV file. Okay. Again, null counts all are same. I can convert that to dictionary and all those things. There is another file format called arrow. That also same binary format. Okay, and what is the difference between a Parquet file and the arrow file format? Okay, so Parquet file is mainly designed for storing the data in a disk space, and arrow file format is mainly used for or designed for in-memory usage, or you can transfer the data from one place to another place. So if you're, that's what I mean, in arrow site itself, they are mentioning if your disk storage is or network is slow, then Parquet file is better option. If you are dealing with huge volume of data and you are not going to store it in a disk space, you can go for arrow. Okay. And there are other projects in Apache Arrow because there are a lot of projects. Few of them I want to explain. Say a plasma. Okay. So in a traditional way, you read a data from a source system, let's say a CSV or RDBMS, and you do all your analysis, all your cleaning, formatting, all those stuff. Again, you are going to store it in a different place, your target place, where it might be another database or CSV file. From there, you can go for reporting or end user. But There is an option in Apache Arrow. It's called Plasma in-memory object store. You read a data from a source and you store it in memory itself. Okay. Let's say I have two script. In the first script, I read a data from a CSV file and store it in a memory. From the second script, I can directly read the data from memory. There is no intermediate a file or a disk read option. I can directly refer data in memory itself. Okay. Yeah, let me see that. You see more. That's what plasma. Okay. So the traditional method takes this much of time, and Arrow takes lesser. So that's a quick demo of reading a CSV file in a traditional method and Arrow using Arrow. Okay, we will see reading a RDBMS. Okay. Any doubts so far? This anyhow, I will share this code. You can go through it. Any doubts so far? Before I am going to move on RDBMS. Okay. Let me change the theme. So as I said, Turbo ODBC is a Python library where you can connect your RDBMS relational database using ODBC interface. Okay, ODBC driver. What is the difference between a normal traditional method to Turbo ODBC method? There's a column columnar data source. It reads column by column instead of row by row. Okay. I'm using Jupyter Lab. This is since I cannot connect my local SQL server from the cloud, so I'm using this instead of Colab. So here Pandas version is 0.25.3, and I'm using 5ODBC method. Yeah, that's authorized ODBC library to connect a Python to a SQL server. Okay, and I'm assigning the server names, database name, driver, username, password from the parameter file. For the security reason, I'm just reading from the file, not exposing the values here. So I'm reading a table, select star from pop copy. It's NSC data. So it has so 29 lakh of data, say 3 millions of data. It's in the big data concept. This is very small volume of data, but it conveys the performance metrics. Okay. Again, the same function to find the execution time. So here I am connecting RDBMS SQL Server using PyODBC method. Again, I'm using Pandas method to read a SQL. Okay, here my SQL query is this: select star from Bob copy. I'm reading all the data from this table. Okay, and my connection is this one. DB connection, it is PyODBC method, and I'm using the connection string as Windows authentication, which is this driver is your ODBC driver, server name, database name, trusted connection is because it's Windows authentication. So yeah, it takes 4 minutes and 10 seconds. It takes a while. So yeah, there are 16 columns and the memory usage is 934 MB, almost 1 GB of data. And these are the data types. It's a pandas data frame basically. Okay, I'm reading the same thing, SQL query using TurboDBC method. So this is before time, and I'm connecting. So here the connect method is TurboDBC method. Okay, from TurboDBC I'm importing this connection. So connect. So the connection string is SQL authentication as well as I have Windows authentication as well. So in SQL authentication. So connection cursor. I'm fetching all the record as arrow. So I'm reading the SQL table as arrow table, and then I'm converting that arrow table to a pandas data frame. Okay, let's say if I execute this. So it takes 17 seconds. Okay, and this takes 1 minute and 39 seconds. Okay, see the difference. How fast it retrieves data from your traditional RDBMS. Okay, even though I'm reading all the content as arrow table, and I convert that a table to pandas. Okay, my time starts here and ends here. So these code execute 17 seconds here. So before time, after time, so I read this SQL query. So it takes 1 minute and 39 seconds. Here it takes only 17 seconds. So after convert that to data frame, it takes a while. So here same 934 MB as same as your traditional method of reading SQL in a pandas data frame. Okay, float 11 columns, integer 1 column, object 4 column, the same. Okay, even so while reading the CSV only, it recognize null as empty string, but this is reading a SQL table, so there is object null object there, so it recognize null as null. There is no problem here. So the same method, but thing is Windows authentication. There is no much difference in the code. And so here I read SQL content as arrow table, and then I convert that arrow table to a pandas data frame. Okay, to operation. So it takes 23 seconds. Now I'm using the same pandas read SQL method. PD is pandas here. I'm reading read SQL method, but I used Turbo ODBC connection. Okay, I'm not going to read that SQL content as arrow table and then convert to pandas data frame. I am just using the Turbo ODBC connection itself, and I'm reading the data as pandas data frame itself. Okay. Fine. So any doubts so far while it executes? Any questions? It takes 43 seconds. Even it takes lesser time than your traditional method connecting PyODBC, and then the only difference between this and the recent one, I mean the last executed one, is only the connection is different. Okay, I'm reading the same thing. Earlier I used PyODBC, now I used Turbo ODBC connection. That's it. There is a huge difference. Okay, for 3 millions of record. Okay, so there are some other options in Turbo ODBC in Arrow. Let's say these two options: strings as dictionary and adaptive integer. Let's see what it is. Okay. Basically, if you are familiar with database, you know this concept: a lookup table or bridge table or map table, whatever it is. So let's say there are employee type or a team name. You assign integer to a team name, let's say developer, HR, QA. Instead of storing a string, you store a integer value, sequence number, and then you will have separate table which will have information about team name and then IDs. Okay. In pandas, we call that as a category, categorical value variable, where it shows the string values, but in the backend or in the memory, it stores integer value. It stores a sequence number, which is mapped to your categories. Okay, we'll see that. So that's what this string as dictionary, which is nothing but as same as categorical data in pandas. Okay, and adaptive integer. Okay, let's say here the data type of this ID column is integer 64. So it has 29 lakhs of data, which means let's say 3 millions of data. But even with integer 8 or integer 32, I can store these much of numbers. I don't need integer 64, so I need integer 32 itself. So that's what this parameter. So it adapts based on your integer maximum value. it adapts the integer data type. Okay, instead of integer 64, it is integer 32 because there is no huge value of data in this ID column. See here, it converts these values as category because simple is a repetitive one. So it converts that as category. It gives a numerical value for each type, each symbol, and same for series and ISIN. Okay, and it takes 390 MB, whereas here it takes 934 MB. If you convert these things to categorical and this to integer 34, you can achieve the same memory usage, but while reading itself, you can do this. Okay, you can set these two parameters, string as dictionary and adaptive integer. So it converts those things. Okay, there is a catch in that adaptive integer because in your source it is integer 64. After reading it, it is integer 32. It is not truncating the values. Based on the values, it adjusts the data type. Okay, there is no value truncation, just a data type change. So while you compare the schema between the source and target, there will be a clash obviously because based on the value it adapts to integer. Okay, but again it won't truncate your data. Okay, so here so far we read 3 lanes of data in a single chart. Think about huge volume of data. You can read batch by batch. Okay, so for the time concern, I'm just picking up 1 million of data. Okay, I'm reading arrow batches. Okay, Turbo ODBC connection here, and this SQL query 1 million of data, arrow batches. Okay, so for each batch, it reads 36,000 records. Why? Because by default, each batch has 20 MB of information, 20 MB of data. You can modify this parameter actually. Okay, so you can modify by assigning a megabytes. Instead of 20 megabytes, read 100 megabytes per batch. You can set that. So there is an option in Turbo ODBC. So I'm modifying that Mac option. Okay, and while on the connection, I'm specifying that option. So while reading the batch by batch, read 100 MB per batch. Okay, so it reads 100 MB per batch. Okay, instead of saying batch by batch reading, you can specify number of rows. Okay, this number of rows here. Okay, I'm reading 1 lakh per time per batch. Okay, so short answer as is that Turbo ODBC is faster. And this funny image where this is your traditional RDBMS, this Turbo ODBC and Apache Arrow. So yeah, so you can see this much performance improvement if you implement Apache Arrow. So if you are reading data from your traditional RDBMS, you can go for Turbo ODBC. Even yeah, when I read an article like so Dremio is part of Apache Arrow. So it's time to replace your ODBC and JDBC, because that's what your traditional method to read a data from RDBMS. Okay, now we have Apache Arrow. So any questions so far? Okay. So a few more things you can do more than Apache Arrow. Yes, as I said, a Plasma, that's in-memory object store, where you can store your data in the memory. So other process in the same machine can access that memory object and use that data. You don't need to write it in a disk space, disk storage. You can just store it in a in-memory object itself. You can just read it. So you can do your all the data analytics stuff on the fly. Okay, and there is an amazing project in Arrow, Apache Arrow, that's called Arrow Flight. I'll tell you what it is. So again, so this a Plasma object, you can store the data in memory, and then other process in the same machine can access that in-memory object and retrieve that data. So currently Plasma supports Linux and Mac OS. But this Arrow Flight, it is a framework for data transport. Okay, so now they are evolving the network protocols. Google is developing HTTP2. So this Apache Arrow Flight supports HTTP2 protocols. It is a framework that supports data transfer from one place to another place over the network. Okay, hereafter you don't need to store any data in your disk memory. Read it from a source, send it over the network, and then receive it in the end, or do your all the data analytics, machine learning stuff, all those things on the fly, and deliver the end result to a customer or client. No need of intermediate storage, anything. Just read it, do your stuff, then push it. That's it. But Aeroflight is not released yet. It is, I mean, the beta users are using it. Currently, yep, it's in progress. So it's mature enough for beta users. You can use it for your stuff. Okay. So there is a GitHub from Apache Arrow. You can find the Python code for that framework server client to transfer data over the network. It's just a simple 200 lines of code. You can just go through it. Arrow Flight. Okay. And other some libraries, Max. Again, it is Python library. So far, we cover or we see how to read data first, or how to transfer or store data efficiently. But we need to do analytics, right? We need to do machine learning stuff, deep learning, all those things. That's where this library comes into picture. So it again, see here, it supports Arrow, supports Jupyter, and event server to access remotely. You can access that, all those things, and the main part is machine learning. Okay. Again, it's in the development phase. There is, I mean, this library doesn't have inbuilt algorithms. It wraps the famous machine learning libraries called scikit-learn. Those things. So you can do all the statistics, machine learning stuff in this library. So as I said, there is no inbuilt algorithm in Max library. It wraps on scikit-learn algorithms. You can use scikit-learn algorithms in MaxML. You can do your machine learning stuff faster. Like there is another article. ML impossible. Let's train 1 million of sample data in 5 minutes using the Max and scikit-learn. So you can read through this document. Okay. So these are the exacting libraries or stuffs which supports Apache Arrow. Okay. Any doubts so far? I'm done. Any doubts? You can find my code in these two links, TurboDB Basics and Apache Arrow Basics. I'll share these links to you. But yeah, any questions?
So any questions? Okay.
We need to practice it, Saran. Only then we'll have some queries. It was a good session.
Yeah.
Thanks for organizing it.
Thank you, Sami, and thanks for joining, everyone. Hope the session is useful for you. I will share the recording and the presentation, also the sample code in our LinkedIn page and meetup group. Please take it back and please do the hands-on, play around with the sample code. So then only it will be useful. Thank you so much for joining.